Have you ever wondered if those ancient ideas about life force were more than just metaphors? Today, we're diving into a really fascinating idea that tries to connect chi, that energy that's said to flow through all of us, with neutrinos, these mysterious little particles that zip through the entire universe. So, can modern science actually connect these two worlds? Let's find out. So that's the big question on the table. Could there be a real physical link here? I mean, can we actually use the language of particle physics to explain these ancient spiritual concepts? It's a pretty wild thought, right? But we're going to break it down piece by piece and see where the science leads us. Okay, so first things first. Why would anyone even think to connect these two things? On the surface, it seems like a massive leap. But once you start looking at how people describe neutrinos and how they describe chi, you start to see this weirdly beautiful pattern emerge. It's like finding poetry in physics. I mean, just look at this side by side. The parallels are kind of striking. Neutrinos, they are invisible, they are absolutely everywhere, and they fly through solid matter like it's not even there. And chi, or prana, it's described as this subtle, all-pervasive energy that gives life to everything. The words people use are almost the same. So the question becomes, is this just a cool metaphor, or is there some real physical mechanism going on? To get to the bottom of that, we have to start with the hard science. So let's get into it. What exactly is a neutrino? You know, these things that are streaming through you and me right now from the sun and from deep space. So, a neutrino is a very real particle. It's not a theory, it's a thing. They're born in the super hot core of stars. And one of their weirdest tricks is that they can actually change their flavor, their fundamental identity as they travel through space. It's like a tiny shapeshifter. Now, this isn't magic. It's just this seriously strange world of quantum mechanics at work. So, what does it actually take to mess with one of these little shapeshifters? Well, the physics is pretty clear. You need to affect it over huge distances or blast it with a ton of energy. Or, and this is the important part, hit it with a truly massive magnetic or gravitational field. We're talking forces on the scale of entire stars or galaxies. So remember that. That is a huge piece of our puzzle. Okay, now let's flip the coin and look at the other side of the equation. If we take away the mysticism for a second, what is chi or prana from a modern scientific point of view? Is there anything there that we can actually get our hands on and measure? Well, it turns out that from a biophysical perspective, chi isn't seen as a single particle. It's more of a catch-all term for a whole bunch of measurable biological things happening at once. The tiny electrical currents flowing through our nervous system, the rhythm of our breath, the way our brainwaves sync up. It's the whole shebang, the total integrative energy of a living, breathing system. And here's the really cool part. We can actually measure the magnetic fields these processes create. A machine called an MEG can detect the magnetic field coming off your brain. But, and this is a huge but, the numbers are ridiculously small. Even the field from your heart, which is way stronger than the brain's, is only about 1/10 billionth of a Tesla. To put that in perspective, that is billions of times weaker than the magnetic field of the Earth itself. All right, this is it. It's time for the big showdown. Let's bring our two ideas together. In one corner, we've got the absolutely colossal force you'd need to affect a neutrino. And in the other corner, we have the incredibly faint, subtle energy fields of the human body. Let's see how they stack up. So what is the actual difference in scale here? It's staggering. We're talking about a difference of 15 to 20 orders of magnitude. That's a 1 with 15 to 20 zeros after it. You know what that's like? That's the difference in mass between a single grain of sand and the entire planet Earth. The gap is it's almost impossible to even wrap your head around. And this chart just makes it painfully clear. See that little bar on the left? You can barely even see it. That's our biological field. And the monster bar on the right? That's the kind of energy you need to even get a neutrino's attention. I mean, it is literally off the charts. It's not even a fair fight. So based on everything we currently know from physics and biology, the verdict is pretty straightforward. The idea that our consciousness or our life force can physically reach out and change a neutrino, well, it just doesn't have any basis in physical reality. The energies involved are in completely different universes. But hold on, don't go anywhere, because that is absolutely not the end of the story. In fact, this is where things get really cool. Because when you debunk one idea, you often open the door to a much more fascinating and scientifically real possibility. Your body might not be a particle accelerator, but it turns out it has a pretty amazing magnetic secret of its own. So if it's not neutrinos, what's going on? Well, a lot of modern science is pointing to this idea of biomagnetism. The theory is that when our body gets into a state of high coherence, like during deep meditation or flow states, all those tiny electrical currents and particle spins can actually start to line up and work together. And when that happens, they create a unified, organized biomagnetic field that is way more than the sum of its parts. Now, I gotta be clear, this is still pretty new research. It's cutting-edge stuff, but the hints we're getting are just fascinating. Some studies have detected measurable changes in magnetic signatures during healing sessions. We know for a fact that feeling emotions like compassion boosts the magnetic coherence between your heart and your brain. There's even evidence that we have tiny magnetic crystals in our brains that might let us sense the Earth's own magnetic field, its natural heartbeat called the Schumann resonance. How cool is that? Okay, so let's circle all the way back to where we started. We've seen that the idea of a direct, physical interaction with neutrinos just doesn't hold up to the numbers. But what's replaced it is something maybe even more profound and more intimate: the idea of biological resonance. This quote really nails the new perspective. Maybe the goal of practices like Qigong or meditation was never about manipulating particles out there in the world. Maybe it's about bringing our own internal biology into such a high state of order that it starts to resonate with the larger fields of nature around us, the very same natural order that gives rise to things like neutrinos. It's a subtle but huge shift. It's not about interaction, it's about alignment. And that really leaves us with a final, pretty powerful question to think about. So what if we can't change the cosmos with our mind? What if instead we can change our own biology by learning how to tune in to the cosmos? Just think about the potential for our health, for our awareness, for our connection to the world that gets unlocked when we stop trying to be a transmitter and instead learn to become a really finely tuned receiver. The answer to that? Well, that might just be the most exciting discovery of all.